What's up, America? Brian here with Duty Honor Real Estate, and we have a fantastic episode 8 with Clint Jordan. This is an incredible story that starts in Guam, ends up all the way in Colorado. There's CrossFit involved in hundreds and hundreds of agents. So I can't wait to kick this off. So Clint, thank you so much for joining us today. Now let's get right into it. Your journey originally was in California, serving as a firefighter in the United States Air Force. And it's really fascinating how you're a firefighter in the Air Force. So what inspired you at an early age to join the military?
So I want to thank you for having me, first off. So in California, way back then, we had kind of an affirmative action thing. So it was hard to become a fireman with who I was and where I was at the time. So I really wanted to be a fireman. So the Air Force was I walked into my recruiter and said, hey, dude, either I get to be this or I'm not coming in. He's like, I can't promise you nothing. I said, you better promise me something. I don't want to be a cook, dude. So that was really it, man. I wanted to do something that I was unable to. So the military was the way to go.
No, that's awesome. And I love how you start, because really that is an emotional event a lot of us go through. Is there some sort of a recruiter that gets us into the military? And I love how you're right with him, black or white. You're like, listen.
Yeah, flat out. Yeah. And he said, there's a good chance, Clint. And I'm like,
no, I love that. But, it's funny because, when you think of firefighter, and then we look at your experience and everything you've gone from Guam, Portugal, England. I mean, can you share? You probably have so many memorable moments of you in the military. So talk about those moments and how those experiences shaped you.
Yeah, so Guam was my very first assignment, right? You get off the plane, you're young, and they take you to the clubs the first night, and you kind of learn what military is all about in an overseas location. Guam was cool, and again, you learn to be an airman. Like, you don't have a lot of responsibilities, right? You show up to work, do your job, kind of, sort of. And then from there, we went to England and then Portugal. So England, you kind of make rank there. You learn to be a supervisor. The British folks are amazing. Like, I spent the first 11 years of my career overseas. 11 years, dude. Like, there's nowhere that we didn't go overseas. Like, literally, the Air Force was paying us to play softball. We'd jump on a $5 flight on Ryanair, fly to Germany for a weekend. So we learned culture and about people and about, their different ways of doing life. Like, in America, at least us, it's kind of like it's us, right? We just think we're the greatest. And then you get overseas and you get around these other people and you realize, hey, there's a lot more, things going on in life and a lot of different cool areas. So I learned a lot from them. Portugal was amazing, small island again. I would go back there 100 times. I mean, it's such a beautiful community. Yeah.
No, I love it. And thank you for your service. I mean,
Thank you.
You spent 11 years abroad, but it was over 20 years in actual total service.
21 years and 10 months.
Wow. Who's counting?
No, barely.
So that's incredible. And I love how you talk about, because you go right into the experiences you had, because one of the things the military does is really accelerate, I think, character building,
right,
and really growing and seeing, like you said, different cultures and really comparing and contrasting it to America's culture. And that's so cool, because I'm pretty sure these experiences shaped you. So when it was time to actually transition from the military to real estate, you probably were more prepared than a lot of other military people.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, unfortunately, a lot of our military gets stationed stateside somewhere and they're just stuck, right? When I got to Beale, so it was like my fourth duty station, but my first one in the States, I got there and there was like 30% of our dudes in the fire department were from that town, from Yuba City, outside of the base. And I'm like, holy smokes. People have been there for 13 years, dude. Like, that to me just blew my mind. One, I traded. I had South Dakota, was my first duty station, right? I look it up. I'm like, it's cold. I'm from California. I don't want cold. So we're listening, and there's some other kid in our class that had Guam. So I walk up to him. I'm like, hey, dude, got a girlfriend, bro? I looked up Guam, right? Guam's 9 billion hours away. I'm like, play the girlfriend card. He's like, I do. I said, bro, if you go to Guam, you're not going to see her. He's like, well, I don't want to do that. I said, well, take South Dakota, right? So we literally walked to the MPF and swapped that day. And like I said, when I got to California, dude, I was like kind of surprised at how many people are from that area that they signed up and then they join that base and they want to get their school and then they get out. I wanted to stay overseas as long as I could, man. At the 11-year mark, there was not a single assignment to stay. So That's when I got to California. But you're correct, because now you just learned, like, in real estate, everybody is different.
Yep.
I remember the first client I had when I got out. Like, you had to think like a civilian for a minute, and I was like, I don't know how to deal with this person.
Yeah. No, it's funny. You said it like, I don't know how to deal with this person. And a lot of veterans in military, we only deal with some sort of type of avatar.
Right.
That, like, this is the person high and tight, needs to do X, Y, and Z, and that's just not how the world is. It's extremely colorful.
Correct.
But eventually you came back stateside, went to Colorado, and it seems like America's backyard, I like to call Colorado Springs, made an impression on you. So what about the city, the state, made you decide to retire? Because when we transition, it's already hard. Where are you gonna go live, right, on your own?
Right.
And then what are you gonna do? So why Colorado Springs? Why real estate?
Yeah, so I talk a lot about the transition. Like, our military we're always told what to do, how to do it, when to do it, right? We're mission driven, mission focused, like everything is, and then you get out. You're like, what just happened? Like, nobody's telling you what to do, how to do it, when to do it. I thrived in it. Like, I was like, holy smokes. My daughter literally told me when I told her I was going to retire, and we cried on Skype back then. I was deployed. And I remember when I finally out-processed from the MPF, dude, we walked out of the door, and she's like, Dad, I think she called me a crow. I think she meant to say eagle. But she's like, Daddy, you're a crow. You go fly now. And that hit me, dude. I was like, that's super deep, right? And from that moment on, I was like, I can. Like, there's nobody that's going to regulate how much money I make, how much time I'm spending at home, none of that stuff. So,
no, thanks for sharing that, because that is a sensitive time. And, even myself, like, I felt like I was a homeless veteran. Like, I was like, I don't know what to do.
right.
Should I do this? Is this the right path? And, you know what you need to do, but sometimes you just need to hear it from someone else. And it's so cool that you heard it from your daughter.
Yeah, kind of random, huh? She's 13 years old and was like the smartest person in the world. Because all your other retired buddies were like, come on, dude, we'll drink beer. Yeah. You're going to be fine. Grow your beard. And my daughter's like, you can fly. And I'm like, that's incredible.
No, that is incredible. And that's all you need. It's so good to see that. So once you found your wings and you took off, you really had to embrace real estate, because based on what I have read about you and what I have learned about you, I mean, you are initiative focused. And I love how you combine your fitness background to helping veterans, and putting those niches together is so important. Please talk about the Hero Health Project and how that probably stimulated your real estate growth.
So we built the gym when I retired. I flew and got my real estate license, bought a gym that was going out of business. And then within, 2 months, I'm a licensed realtor. We own a gym. And then I think I told you I picked up a third job with the old fire chief of mine selling equipment. But we immediately had a kind of a bigger plan and a bigger vision. Because like I said, we built a gym, and the cool thing about that was 90% of our people are veterans, right? So I never lost that camaraderie, right? I'm still with my dudes all day. I'm just not wearing that uniform anymore. But we started figuring out, hey, our main goal was like, how do we fund this for free? There's a lot of veterans that aren't still in, right? Our active duty military can afford a $100 membership for the most part. There's a lot of people that aren't. So what can we do to help, get those guys into the gym? There's ways to work that. So we started just doing, anybody that used us as a realtor got a free gym membership, right? We did that for a couple of years with the ultimate goal of how do we fund our entire gym for 100% for free for veterans, friends, and families, right? There's a lot of times like a veteran gets 5% off or 10% off or whatever that is, and then the family and the friends are oftentimes not thought about. They didn't serve. In the gym, I think it's ultimately important that if Brian works out with Tito, and Tito didn't serve a day in his life, but that's your dude, then why can't he come too, right? So the Hero Health Project was thought about 5 years ago or 6 years ago when we opened the gym. And then over the last 2-3 years, we started getting closer to where the real estate was doing good. We started forming relationships with, Mount Carmel Veteran Services Center, USAF and stuff, and just different people and building different organizations where we're very, very close and just opening the doors 100% for free. You won't have to pay a dime to work out there. So,
wow. One of the things I hear in this is really the theme in real estate. A lot of, I think, agents in general get kind of, I think, suffocated with the idea of just real estate as their identity.
Right.
And I love how you talk about your real estate in what? your real estate and fitness, real estate and really helping people grow. And I think that's amazing, and that's a great tip for everyone to understand. Like, when you get into real estate, tag it with something.
Well, I think you still have to, we're taught younger, right? What's your why? Your why. Like, I could have a singular reason to exist, right? So we have three. I have my whys. I have my buckets. I got my veterans. I got my family. That's money. That's all that other stuff. And then health and fitness. And as long as whatever I'm doing feeds one of those buckets, then we're good, right?
Of course.
So then then you just start attaching everything to that and not the real estate. Like, we could not sell 100 homes or sell, I don't care, right? We need some of that stuff to fund all this other stuff, but that's not my why.
No.
That part's going to happen, but I think you're correct that people get into that career field and they think, hey, they see other people doing very well, and then that's all that they have, right? You're just like, I'm a realtor. And I'm like, I'm going to do real estate, but I'm going to do mill estate. I'm going to do, TV and like all that other stuff to help support and then build that.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
No, it shows that there's more to life, that you can still bring that Old Testament into your life. And I love how you talk about, you still want to keep that tribe close to you.
Right.
You talk about 90% of your people at your gym are still veterans. And it's incredible because how you start, it really shows what the military talked about or taught you, right? In terms of like, you're like, I'm going to fund this for free. Really, you're saying, like, how do we mitigate risk?
Correct.
So we can provide more opportunity at the same time. And I love those incentives. It's like, you get to essentially, hey, not only am I going to help you in real estate, but I'm going to help you get fit.
Which is the most important thing, right?
The most important
like,
thing.
we can close on Friday, and then I get you for the next
we get
5,
the
10
wad.
years.
We get the wad. Get the wad going. But what really resonated with me is the battle buddy system.
Yeah.
In the military, you always grow from different duty stations. You always have your battle buddies in those stations, and that's awesome. And especially now with veterans dealing with PTSD,
Oh, yeah, dude.
depression, and it's proven physical activity, physical anything really helps with that. And having that battle buddy system at the gym, working out with you.
And what's the
helping
first thing you give up when times get hard? Your niceties,
yeah.
right? I give up my nicety. Like, I can't afford to go to the gym anymore.
Yeah.
That's the one thing you should always afford to do, right? Give up coffee, but we don't, right? I got to keep my electric bill on, or I got to do whatever that other thing is. When this is what keeps you happy, healthy, right, fit, and then we don't go down the path of like all the other paths that if we don't do this, and there's studies everywhere, like that's where you're going to go.
Yeah.
So we just make this free in a sense. I was talking with somebody at the academy, and they're like, hey, is there value in free? And it didn't strike me yet because I just want the gym for free, right? I want to be able to provide that. And I hadn't thought about it on that type of level. And the answer to that is no, right? There's not value in free. Like, nobody, we give away free memberships all day and people ain't coming. Charge them $1,000. They're going to be there every single day. So we kind of flipped it a little bit to say, hey, how can we still provide and give for free, but then add even more value to our community? So we'll attach that stuff to Mount Carmel and like United States Academy, saying, hey, here's 2 main events throughout the year for you to use the gym and to use all that other stuff. You just got to help on 1 or 2 of these, right? Now we take 100, 200, 300 members at the gym and we send them to Mount Carmel when they have a huge event and say, hey, here's 100 volunteers. Now those volunteers now have some equity in that gym.
Oh,
and at Mount
course.
Carmel and at USAFA. So
It's a force multiplier.
yeah.
That's really what it is.
Yeah, 100%.
No, and I love that. Now, speaking about force multiplier, you're really a driving force not only behind that Hero Health, but your own team, the 719 Veterans Home Team, the Mill State Team.
Correct.
I mean, these are essentially over 100 agents nationwide, veterans, even military spouses. Now, could you share about those initiatives? Because those are a lot.
Yeah.
So if you could, let us know, how does that ensure our military community is serviced at the highest level?
No, I love that question. And then that's the entire reason why Mill State was built. And I hate to dog on people that say I love helping my vets, but like when I hear that sometimes I'm like, I understand what you're meaning by it, and we get it. But for me, like I enjoy this conversation, right? I know you served, so we talk on a different level. It's no different than lawyers or doctors. They like to hang out with their people too. And if you haven't, PCS'd or on TDY or like any of those things, you don't truly know the stressors and the timelines and the stuff that we go through. If you've walked it, then you know those kind of things, right? So I said, hey, why not just build an organization nationwide that with those type of people, you are the veteran or you are the mil spouse. Not my daughter can't join it. My mom, like those people didn't live that. They weren't in the same door. They didn't change diapers. They didn't live in the hotel. Well, for my daughter, like we changed her diapers, but like she didn't live the process. So it became the only real criteria for mil estate was that you are a veteran active duty or a mil spouse of one. So you understood the timelines and the stressors. Right. And then the brokerage, like it doesn't matter to me if you're KW or Real or Caldwell Banker, it just matters to me that you service veterans at the top, highest level. I interview and vet every one of them. I'm on Zoom calls 2 to 3, 4 hours a day, making sure that we're bringing in the right people.
Wow. Now, a couple of things there that I think are bigger than just the real estate aspect of mil estate is really, it has become a catch-all phrase, like I help veterans or whatever.
Right.
And really, you're demonstrating accountability. Like we definitely need to hold people to a standard, especially when they talk about servicing veterans.
Correct.
And that's really motivating. What's also motivating is how you really focus not only on that tribe, but it's really a niche. People don't understand that military community is a niche. And there is so much value in there in just servicing that niche beyond just like the brother sisterhood.
Correct. And then just people keep trying to come in, right?
Yes.
You're like, I want to help. And you're like, plenty of us go do, your neighborhood or the church or, sports or something.
No, yeah.
So, and then with this, like I said, it becomes something a little bit greater because everybody in that group isn't there. If it's real estate, cool, but they're also their local experts. So if you're PCS into Benning, right, I've got somebody there. Like, Clint, you got somebody in Benning. I don't want to buy or sell, but I need to know where to take my car. Yeah. Here's John at Fort Benning, who is now a mentor, help with education stuff. Of course, he'll help you buy and sell, but the network is built to make sure that we have those people nationwide, wherever you're headed.
No, and you're reminding it. It's like you spend 20 plus years and people forget that you have a network that you built and you have a network that you don't even know about yet.
Right.
And it's funny because network equals net worth.
Correct.
And it's so cool that you're thinking beyond. Like, it's not just real estate. It's like, hey, I'm going to get you a legal contact. I'm going to get you a medical contact, whatever the case is. And that's awesome. Now, again, you have so many initiatives, right? We talked about the Hero Health Initiative, your Mill State Initiative. But what about you being a team leader? The 719 Veterans Home Team. Talk about that dynamic because we got veterans listening that are just getting out and they want to get into real estate. We have veterans who are in real estate that kind of maybe want to level up to being a team leader. So talk about that experience.
So that's a tough gig. Again, we like learning personality because coming from the military, right? I was deployed as the fire chief in Guam. Guess who people listen to? Me. I was the chief, right? I had this earned or given respect from that. So then you start building a team, and I did it wrong 3 times so far, right? So I built my first one incorrect. Wash it kind of clean, learned again, but to learn that the dynamics of people and then what they truly need. And then same as on the mill estate side of stuff, like if you are a veteran and that's the circle that you want to work in, then find somebody like that, right? Find the 719 Veterans Home Team. My buddy Dan runs a PCS team. Like he was a warrant officer. Like those people know inside of those circles. So if that's what you're looking to do, it benefits you 100% to try to lock in or find some of those people. And again, you guys are like there's 5,000 amazing realtors in town. Find what it is that you want to do and then find the ones that are really good inside of that circle, inside of that network. Right, everything that I do plays inside of the veteran world. Every video I do for American Dream TV, like all of it is in the veteran world. So then every event we go to, veteran world, right? Instagram posts, like everything is inside of that. So if you're attached to the 719 Veterans Home Team, guess what you're going to learn to play inside of?
Yep.
Your veteran world, where you dig,
No, that's money. It's so funny. You hit the first challenge that veterans have when they transition, especially into the civilian world, especially in sales.
Right.
You're so used to having that chain of command and the checks and balances that come with that. And I had the same thing. Like I came out and I joined my wife's team, and next thing you know, it's not the same. Even though, like,
Yeah.
you know, the rank has nothing to do with anything.
Correct.
They don't even know what that means.
And nobody's helping you.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? Nobody's helping.
helping you. And so that is good that you remind people that you definitely have to be prepared for those group dynamics
Yeah.
when you're in a whole different environment. Love what you're talking about, man. Like, being a team leader is not easy. It's like growing an organization, having the liability, managing, leading, just dealing with conflict, right? Challenges
Yeah.
that are in the business. I mean, it's wearing, and I'm glad that you're honest, because we all fail. Like, we're all failing 1, 2, 3
Yeah.
times, but every time you come back even better. It's like working out, right?
Right.
Tear
Yeah,
down
yeah.
the muscle, bring it up.
Correct. Good analogy.
It's incredible, because I think people need to be prepared to fail. Usually in the military, we have like the SOP, we have the mission. There's so many layers of mitigated
Right.
risk.
Right.
You know, it's like, how can you not like fail?
Yeah, it's impossible to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so people need to have that reality. And I really appreciate you saying that. And another tip, like that, I can't emphasize it enough, is that you need to really figure out what you want to do and then go find someone who's doing that.
Yeah. So that's key, right? And like I said, there's, what do we got, 5,500 realtors in town or something?
Like that.
And then there's 10% that are really, really doing a lot of business. And of those 10%, the majority of them are doing something a little bit different. Talk to them. I literally had some dude call me the other day, and he says, hey, he wanted to get on a phone call. He wants to become a realtor. He's a first sergeant. And he said, hey, I talked to another lady in Keller Williams in our brokerages, and he's like, and what makes you different? What makes me need to come to work for you, type of deal? And I said, we're probably having the wrong conversation here, dude. I need to be interviewing you. You don't get to ask, like, what is Clint different from this other person? Let's sit down and talk about things real quick, because my team, like I said, you fail a bunch of times because you build it wrong, right? And then you rethink, you go back to the drawing board, you go talk to people that know what they're doing, redo it again. Second team fails miserably. Third team, you're like, all right, now I kind of have an idea on how to build this. I don't just let you in because you want to be on my team, right? I know who I need to function at a super high level. I know what I can give you, and if what you need isn't what I'm given, then that's not going to work. Let's talk about a different team then. But if I'm interviewing you, and I'm like, hey, man, what's important to you? Are you like, dude, I really love church and, kids baseball. And I'm like, sweet, because I'm not involved in either one of those. My kids are older, but let's find you a team that does, right? Because if that's where you want to be, then find the people that are in that. There's plenty of them out there. Right? So literally, I don't like, the conversations don't happen that way anymore. I'm like, no, we'll meet up and we'll see if you're a good fit for the team, because I know exactly where Clint's focused on. And we don't stray, dude. If that's not one of my buckets, I spend zero energy outside of one of those 3 buckets.
Wow. It's so good to have this conversation, because to get into real estate, you just have to take a test.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
the barriers of entry are really low, like probably less than this floor that we're standing on right now. And I love how you started setting barriers of entry. You really started scrutinizing them, asking them questions, really getting into their why that you talked about. And not only if it didn't make sense for them, you're like, well, I'm going to take you somewhere where it makes sense.
That's important, dude.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, those 5,000 agents could be better if you're doing that. And a lot of team leaders just don't have time to reposition that asset, if you will.
Yeah.
And so that's awesome.
And I don't know if it's time or not. We might have a difference of opinion on that.
Or
But
focus or
yeah,
attention.
we just don't. And maybe it's time, like you said, because it does take time. Like if I'm going to go introduce somebody to you guys, that's a conversation. That's some time. I'm going to say, hey, man, group down there is way better at what you're looking for. Let's go talk to them. So, yeah, you're right.
Money. There's a huge pivot that happened recently from what I'm gathering in your stories, right? You went from active military. You transitioned into real estate. And you really started growing these initiatives. But then I feel like you probably discovered I have to amplify my message even more. And that's where I see the American Dream TV coming into play. And you highlight yourself, your team, your organizations that you support, the military community, and you've reached to over 25 million viewers. I mean, that's incredible, first of all. So congratulations there.
Thank you.
So, but you definitely need to talk more about this endeavor, because not just of the people you've debuted in those stories and stuff, but a lot of military it may be a little frightening to like put yourself out there on a huge scale like that.
No, yeah, dude.
So if you could talk about like your decision to go on American Dream TV and how that's really changed your view on being a professional.
Yeah, so like I said, in the military, you just do what you're told to do, right? Told to do it, you learn how to do it better than everybody else, you get promoted faster. That was my logic and theory. I'm like, sweet, I could study. And then if you're my supervisor, you're like, Clint, mop that floor. And I'm like, how well do you want that floor mopped? And you're like, well, I want you to use 2 mops. And the other guys are like, I'm only using 1, dude. I'm like, well, he just told us to use 2. So I would use 2, right? You get out and there's nobody that's telling you to do these things. But I know that like you have to take every opportunity you don't take, right? You're not going to know the result of that or the outcome of it. So I take every single opportunity I can if it fills one of my 3 buckets. And I don't care what it is, dude. Like getting on TV was scary. Like the first episode, you're like, it's there, man. And you're like, I don't know. They don't give you a lot of direction. They don't produce it. You come up with your own script, your own storyboard, your guests, and you send it in and they put it and they make a show out of it. But so I remember I'm like, hey man, like we don't know if we can't or can do something unless we do it. We don't know the doors that are going to be open by the opportunities that we take. We do know what's not going to happen if you don't take those opportunities, right? So I'm an advocate of do it. Like if I can get in that door, I'm in. Get me in the door, man, and I'm going to figure out what I can do with that. So we got on it, and I said it seemed to be a decent idea for me. And then again, I'm a buckets kind of guy, so I said if it doesn't fill one of those buckets, then I'm not going to put them or it on the show, right? You can put houses, you can put real estate. It's lifestyle, community, and real estate is what the show's about. In 9 or 10 episodes, guess how many houses of real estate I put on? None. 0, dude, right? Because there's a billion veterans in town that I can highlight. There's organizations. We were at the Broadmoor for the Citizen Soldier Connection golf tournament.
That's a good one.
It's dope, dude. These guys just literally give money to our veterans who need help. Like if your car broke down and you couldn't make your car payment, you submit a thing to them and say, hey, I need $552. Here's a reason why I can't pay it. The board votes on it and then gives the money to your mortgage company or to your, whoever owns the mortgage to the car. So from that, I become a board member of that organization now, right? Now I'm sitting at a table with 12 veterans in the community that are fairly well respected, make decent decisions in life. I interviewed the president of the Broadmoor in that tournament, Jack. Like, well, who was Clint to interview Jack, right? But because I took that opportunity and because Dave's there and because I'm like, hey, man, we'll get you in front of 25 million people. I was at the Comic-Con. Lou Ferrigno was there. Did you see?
The Hulk.
The Hulk, dude. So guess what I did? I cut a little bit of weight, painted myself green, and we went to the Comic-Con and we videoed it. Man, I walked around the corner. Lou Ferrigno's like this. I went, and I held a microphone, right? And he's like, let's go. So I literally interviewed Lou Ferrigno and then Joey Fatone from NSYNC and Bill Murray from Practical Jokers. And then like our last episode, dude, because of the connections that you make through all that stuff, I had the mayor up at Santa's Village. Like on my show. He'll be on our next show because we take those opportunities. And then in them, like I said, and I no dogging anybody who highlights houses and stuff, and I hope that that works well, and you get 42 listings. Nothing I do in life is about real estate listings, or that's not my return on anything, right? It's return on time and return on relationships. And if I could build something out of those, then perfect. I said the mayor came up because of the relationships that we had built, because we're getting in front of 25, 30 million people. And Mount Carmel is one of my episodes. Like I said, we just use that platform now to, I jumped out of the air, dude, I called Colorado Skydiving and said, hey man, can I bring some Wounded Warrior people out here and just jump? It's for my show. I'll highlight you guys on the show. They're like, oh yeah. Literally, dude, all day. We're just out there filming, jumping. They gave us all their video. And then guess what? And I got 4 veterans, Wounded Warrior dudes that never been in a plane before, never jumped before. Now they get all this footage and I'm like, cool. Like that's what I get to do with this stuff. I'm like, I'm in all day for that.
No, what have I been missing? Like, it's incredible. American Dream TV provided you all these opportunities. And I love how you really take everything we talk about like to a military lesson. And you're right. In the military, they give you a lot of specific tasks, and then you're also supposed to know the implied task. And you're like, well, should I take this initiative? Should I go do this? And, we are taught with that, what to do, and you should have the implied task. But really, you really need to know your why. Because you're like, if I'm going to take this opportunity, well, I need to know my purpose. So it goes back to task and purpose. So I love how you started with that. One thing that I'm definitely going to take from you is I just got to get in the door. So it's very like military. Like we got to breach this door.
Yep.
We got to get in. And once I'm in, I can take over.
It's me, right? Yeah.
You know, and that's so cool to really highlight to a lot of veterans, kind of like a basic instinct that we have. So, and that's really would motivate a lot of people because a lot of veterans, they're going to get nervous. They're going to forget that they could breach doors.
Correct. Yeah.
And,
that's what they're trained to do, right? Like literally, that's what we do.
Yeah. No, I love it.
So I think it was in a Grant Cardone book. I think his 10X
course.
book. Of course, yeah. So like if I start feeling like I'm being a victim a lot of times in life, I just reread 10X. Not a huge Grant, but that book is incredible.
I am.
Yeah. Okay, I am too. So his 10X book, he talks about that. He's like, man, like he got a call one time to go on news or something. He's like, I didn't know anything about what I was talking about, but he's like, I'm in. If I'm being called, I'm in. And like with the publicist dude for Mill Estate, his entire job, dude, is just to send out press kits to news channels. And then he pings me and says, hey, Clint, can you talk on Tuesday on Schwab Network News about this, this, and this? And I'm like, yep. And then what do you do? Looking up this, and this, right? You're like, oh, I know. I could do this. Totally could do this. But instead of being that, you're scared, you're like, oh, no. I could talk to Green Homes because they're going to write an article. I'm like, well, let's do it. Let's in all the time, dude. Get in the door, man.
I just got to get in the door.
Yep.
No, I love it. And it's cool because you're taking these experiences and then you're sharing them. Like, that's awesome. The Wounded Warrior, jumping out of planes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible. Those are memories that are going to last a lifetime. And for veterans, that's really how we bond. Is like through those experiences. And so if you continue them in the civilian world, it just solidifies it so much. No, that's incredible. American Dream TV provides that.
We had a mastermind this morning, man. Like, it's hard to think that I'm a part of an organization like that, and I don't talk too highly about like the thing's incredible. Like literally, the mayor, dude, was out at with his family because Clint asked, "Hey, can we get the mayor out here?" Crazy.
Love it.
They were going to let us land a helicopter on the Broadmoor. Literally, land a helicopter for the show, dude. And I'm like, and all we have is I think we had 400 or 500 people out there just golfing to raise money for veterans. The whole show was just on them raising
awareness.
money. Yeah, dude.
Awareness.
And I can put that in front of 25 million, 30 million people.
I would tell you self-promotion is self-preservation. And so that's good that you're using that platform to really get the message out there.
Yeah.
Because, when you're self-promoting yourself, you're really promoting the military community, which is what you embody.
Correct.
And that's incredible. Now, let's go back. Let's get real. Because I, as a father, a husband, I have a daughter too. Like, how do you even balance this? Because, first of all, you're a licensed real estate professional. So that in itself is demanding.
Right.
You're a husband, a father, you're a gym owner. You could imagine all the objections you hear from people. I'm not going to go to work out or today or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with that. So how do you balance these roles? Because, a lot of military, they'll get into a new environment and they need to figure out how to deal with this new type of stress. It's not a stress that you can necessarily control like we used to in the military. So how do you tie this all together?
Well, so I think stress is a result of a thing that we're thinking about, right? So we use stress as they're in a different kind of stress environment or something else. Stress literally is how am I reacting mentally to that thing. So we can control that. I'm a huge mindset guy. Since I got out, man, I've been working on the mindset thing because I wasn't able to do it before. But that's my thought on stress. Like we could control that kind of stuff, right? But then it becomes like you said, the balance. Like, what does balance mean to you? To me, like my wife, my kids, we know the whys. Like we need to, here's my buckets, here's my whys. And to juggle those things, again, if I stray outside of those buckets, if I go and I squirrel for a moment, well, that's distracting from the family thing, right? If I'm able to build a team that can do more work for me, then I have more time for my family, right? If we're able to bring veterans in, and then it ultimately all ties back into the same three things. But if I can focus on those, then that's my balance. And everybody's balance is a little bit different. People say, if you want to make $1 million, like you're not going to have a lot of balance. You're going to work, right? And then balance later, like what's important to you. And then make sure that like family is to me. So we have movie nights, we do Sunday dinners. If the kids have orchestra or something, I have 2 of my own, and then my wife has 2 younger ones. My older kids are grown, so now I go to orchestras at 5 o'clock at night instead of coaching baseball. But that's a balance, right? Again, if I know that we're focusing on these buckets, and that took a lot of years because you want to do everything. You're like, man, I got to go, but I don't know where I'm going, right? I just got out of the military, and like I want to hustle, but just moving for the sake of movement isn't.
Yeah, it's not progress.
Yeah, it's not progress, but we don't know how to get there, man. So once I learned and figured out this is what's really important to me and write those things down and know them and live them. And like I said, there's nothing that breaks into those. But nothing makes it in there. Like if it's not it's on my calendar, Cassie runs my calendar, and like if it's not, it just doesn't go in there. And then that's my ballast because I don't deal with that stuff anymore.
I feel like I'm getting counseled. But no, I love this because, we come out of the military and we're hot and heavy and we're like, yeah, we're super soldiers. We've done X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And you forget it's really an inside job. Like new environment, new stresses, new skill sets that you have to learn.
And how hard is it for you? What were you? What did you come out as?
Major.
So major. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good.
Sorry. Come out as a major. Come out as a major or a E8 or E9 or somebody. And like you're important, right? People are listening to you. And then like you said, you go get your real estate license, you join. Nobody's talking to you. You're like, just 2 days ago, dude, I was like in charge of 80 people in the fire department, right? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's the transition is tough.
It's a mindset thing. And you said it, like we really, like, yes, there's like training for resiliency,
right?
But none of that, that's just like check the box. But it's really cool that you're like, dude, I'm really focusing on this. And people need to do that. You need to maintain that. And so that's awesome because the suicide is real.
Oh, yeah,
you
dude.
know, and it's good that, grown man, 20 plus years, you're like, no, I still got to work. Still got to work right here. You talk about balance, and that everyone talks about balance, right?
Yeah.
But they don't understand, like, really, like you were saying, it's like, yeah, you want to make $1 million, but you're going to put in some work.
Right.
And you may not be the best dad at the best time. And really, I think you're talking about harmony. It goes ebbs and flows, right? And if you think about it from a military perspective, I was horrible at land nav. I don't know if the Air Force does land nav. You guys have more technology.
We had GPS on our fire trucks. Yeah, we'd have to land nav.
So like we used to have the azimuth like on your compass.
No, dude.
And so it's like it's good because you have these buckets, you have your why, and as you're veering off the path, you're like, no, I need to get my azimuth checked.
Right.
And so it's a good reminder that that's really how you're balancing is you're constantly like calibrating because it takes time, like you said. It's not like you're gonna because in the military we want things no later than this time, right? SP
or an LTD,
and we're used to like those expectations, but in the civilian world, it's just not. It's gonna come when it comes.
Correct.
Man, so no, I love it. Now we talked about so many things. And one of the themes I hear is that you're always, what's the next initiative? Like how can I keep, amplifying my buckets
right.
or helping the military community? So we're in 2024. The market took a huge pivot. Are you thinking of any initiatives in 2024? Or are you just going to keep amplifying the ones you've already done?
So yeah, there's one initiative we'll push towards, but it's really amplifying those. It's amplifying the ones we got going on. Mill Estate needs to grow. Like I said, we're at 107, I think, agents right now. Me and my coach sat down the other day, and we've got a 300-person target by the end of 2024. I don't think it's not. I don't in my head nothing's impossible. So, again, if we just like you said with the balance and stuff, you just move some things, and now I put more focus into that bucket. But yeah, it's really that, man. I want personally to come out of production and then have the team run. Hero Health Project, it's exciting because if we could open our gym here for free, right, and we fund it for free totally, that's a scalable thing. So I can then say, hey, we've got a lot of veterans and people in Tampa or Orlando or Miami or wherever we want to go. Find people who want to invest in going on a gym. We own the gym now, and we do the same thing. So in 2024, we can go from 1 to 5 or 10 relatively quickly. We already have realtors everywhere that are already veterans, already working in that space. So the Hero Health Project would be our main focus, like getting ours fully funded and then seeing where that kind of goes. And then Mill Estate, like I said, we'll push pretty heavy with that.
Wow. Because, and I love how you're giving quantifiable like goals. You're literally putting numbers to it.
Yeah.
And getting those 300 people is going to happen, especially after they listen to this podcast about everything you've just literally invested in. Love the scalability because you're right. Like veterans, fitness, real estate, that's everywhere.
Oh yeah, dude.
And so that's definitely going to happen. So if you're listening and you definitely want to be part of something big, you need to contact Clint. Now, besides those initiatives, right? I always tell people I'm going to die at the closing table and just that's where I'm going to end it, right? Because I love real estate. I love doing all these initiatives too. But what legacy, right? Because at the end of the day, we're going to be a memory to a lot of people.
Correct.
And so do you have anything specific that you want to leave behind, not just in real estate or the initiatives you're doing, but like your generations? You talk a lot about your daughter. Anything that you can bestow on our audience?
It's nothing too crazy, man, but it's literally, the legacy is, what do people know us for, right? What did we leave behind? And what does somebody think about Clint when they think about Clint, right? It's changed over time. I don't think I really understood kind of growing up what that legacy thing meant. I'm like, he's really good at softball. He's a really good CrossFitter. For me, I just want people to know that I care more than I give more than I take type of deal. Like I care, right? And the majority of that care is in our veteran community. I care about everybody as a whole. Like you could ask anybody that I'll do most anything for anyone. But like I just want people to know that the organizations and the things that we built were for other people. Right. If we have the Hero Health Project, we got 50 gyms all over the nation, and not a single veteran's paying for that. And then it was me and my wife that did that. Like that's the legacy that we want. Like we give and give and give. We talk in business to a lot of people, or at least I do. They're like, how do you give so much? For American Dream TV, I'm currently doing a reel for 300 agents inside of there. It's ridiculous. I'm like, I'll do it. Hey, who wants to make a reel real quick, right? Like I have time. It's literally 300 or 400 agents are in there. And they're just sending me their videos. I'm like, sweet, man, I'll get my video guy to compress it. And then they're like, how do you want? Like the how and the why behind it. I'm like, well, because I love to, I'm literally am a giver at heart, and I love giving. We have time. Like we can give that. It doesn't cost anything, right? The gym ultimately costs, but it's the time behind all of it that we can give. So my legacy is, it's that, man. What did Clint do for our veterans, our community, our things, our kids? I suspect my legacy will be a little bit different for my daughter. Will leave behind all the things. But again, legacy has changed over time, and now it's a much bigger picture for me. We don't know a lot of things, but I know now the more that I have, the more that I can do, right? If I can make $10 million next year, I can't even fathom the amount of things I can give and do with that 10 million to then flip it and make 50 or 100 million. And like I said, now we just have gyms everywhere, and they're totally free, and they're funded by this big real estate team or group. And guess what? Those guys are all veterans. So now we're helping them with their jobs and their families inside of their communities, right? So that's kind of the legacy, and a long spill of legacy. Oftentimes it's a short answer, but that's ultimately my legacy for sure is what do we end up leaving behind, man? Like what do people say about Clint when he ain't here no more?
No, it's right on the money because, when I think of that saying, like, what do people think about you when you're gone? It's like I think about my grandparents, right?
When people say about your dad, like, he was a great man. And I'm like, that's all I care about. Like, I just want somebody to be like, Clint was a great dude.
That's it, right?
Nailed it.
And so that's spot on. I think that's almost a universal. Everyone should have that.
Correct.
And if they don't, then what are you really leaving for?
Yeah.
I've been taking all these notes about all your sayings here. If I have more, then I can do more, right? And so that's an amazing concept because in the beginning we're all like go getters, right? I'm gonna go get this. I'm gonna go get this, right?
Yeah.
But you're really talking go giver.
Flip it, right? I'm gonna go get it. I'm gonna get it, but I'm gonna give it. Like how much can I get so that I can give more?
Love it. So where could the people find you? What's the best way to reach you?
There's a bunch of different. My phone is fairly simple. If somebody wanted to call and talk about any of that stuff, it's just 530-844-2559. Our website's just www.clintjordan.com. So super easy on the CrossFit Bonnie and Clyde. Just my number. Just call me.
Yeah, I would recommend just go do a WOD with him first.
Yeah, just come to the gym on a Saturday. It's the best day ever. Totally free. So come on out.
And then continue on. But no, Clint, Go Giver Jordan, thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate
Thank you for
this.
investing in Duty Honor Real Estate. This has been an incredible episode, and I can't wait for more people to hear your story.
No, man, I love it. And thank you for the opportunity, dude. You reached out the other day and I'm like, again, get in the door, dude, no matter what it is, get in the door. So I'm like, man, I appreciate the opportunity. Appreciate what you guys do for the community as well. And then this podcast is going to be dope. So
It is.
yeah, good for you, man.
Let's do it.